What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Learning the Way in Business with Yelisei Cholak. It's your host, Yelisei. Appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode. I've got another guest on here, a great dude. He's a big stud. He's an awesome dude. I've hung out with him a few times, and we've got to spend some time together. And I really wanted to bring him on here because he's doing his own thing right now, and I know he can bring and share his story, share value of what he's doing, because he's building something great. He's built something awesome that a lot of people can find value in, I think. So I just wanted to bring him on here, introduce him to you guys, because he is a stud. Welcome, Hayden.
Drum roll, right?
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Hayden Cortez, right? Mr. Cortez.
Appreciate you having me on, man, and the flattering introduction. I don't know about all that, but we're trying to figure this thing out, man. I love the name of your podcast too, because it's right. I'm in the same position. We're learning the way into entrepreneurship in this crazy world. Yeah, we jumped in.
Yep, I struggled with the name because I've always wanted to come up with one, but then on the last meetup, Trevor kind of threw it out, and I'm like, that's the name I want.
That's it. That's a gold ticket,
it's
man.
Perfect. Yeah, because, bro, I have, with the name, people that are levels farther ahead of me can still listen to it and learn from it, right? There's still, that name welcomes everybody. We're all still learning. Or at least it welcomes the people that want to learn.
Even if you're at the bottom level all the way up to the top, and that's, I'm a big Alex Hormozy guy too. And so what he's done, I want to say he didn't steal my idea, but I started writing a book because I want to keep a documentary on this whole process. And then I finally heard his book, or listened to his book, $100 Million Offers, and he already did kind of the same thing where he wanted to record the journey of it because he wishes Elon did it, he wishes Bezos did it, and it's very helpful for people because it is a grind, it's a different lifestyle and mentality, and you're just learning every single day for it, man, or through this.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, dude, that's a good point you brought up, because honestly, sometimes I'm afraid to share my struggles because I'm like, man, what if people are gonna judge me, or I'm in these rooms where people are so much farther ahead of me, and I'm in my head thinking what if they're farther ahead of me, they're gonna judge me or something. But in reality, this is my journey, right? And I should record it and put myself out there, because there's someone that he may even be farther ahead of me, but he's going to learn from that. That might be bro, sometimes I'll post something you can probably relate to, and someone's be like, dude, I needed that.
Yeah.
So you never know. Someone's going to need that, and you'll post it at that exact time. So that's, I'm getting over that, to post my struggles, to post the things I'm going to, because then you look back a couple of years and you be like, wow, that was incredible. The growth from that spot I was there. I even look back to things a year ago, wow, I grew so much, it feels good.
Absolutely. And I try to have, because it is hard when you, especially in the mastermind that we're in, Real Business Owners, I know you're in another one, but there's a lot of guys that are in there that are way ahead of where I'm at, where you're at, and it's hard to stay confident in yourself around that. However, one thing I've been working on, and I say this a lot, is especially when people talk about competition and looking at the other, what everyone else is doing, is I say I like having horse blinders on, because horse blinders, all they can see is forward and they can't see side to side. So only look at your path and what's going on. Eventually you'll get to where these guys are at. But I do get it, man. It's hard to not wish and want to have the same level of success, but all it is they've put in more time, been more consistent, and that's
it failed a lot more.
It feels a lot more, but Trevor made it.
I said they failed a lot more.
They failed a lot more. Yes, they have failed a lot more, which means they failed forward more. And so it's definitely a unique mindset to have going into that.
Do you mentioned something when you're in the rooms where all these bigger guys are, it's hard to be confident. Do you think that is because we often find our identity in our business, in the money in our bank accounts, in what we do? We we attach our identity to the results rather than the effort. And therefore when we walk into these rooms, we don't feel enough because the results aren't, or it seems like our results aren't as much as somebody else's. My results are as much as somebody else. That's what we talked about past couple of days. Mike was saying this, like, we often measure like ourselves through our results because we put in effort. You can't control the results, right? You can control your effort. However, you can put in the effort. You can show up every day. And even my coach Sam was telling me, hey, I was sharing with him, like, bro, when I'm low on cash, I get stressed. Like, I can handle other stuff, other problems. I'm okay with it. When I'm low on cash, I get stressed. And he said, you are not your bank account. Like, stop attaching your identity to it. You are not the numbers on your bank account, nor are you your business. So I think if we, rather than like attaching our identity to something else, start finding it within. If we do other things, like if we track our worth by our, and I don't know if that's even right to say tracking your worth by your effort, but if I walk into the room confidently knowing I'm confident because I put in the effort, I deserve to be here. I may not have results for that effort, but I deserve to be here because I put in the effort.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head, man. It's comparison is one of the greatest thieves of joy and happiness and confidence. And that says because everything in society trains you naturally that it is a comparison game. This dude has a nicer car than I do, so he must be making more money than I have. But really, it's really self-confidence. You know that you earned your seat at that table, which is something that I got over recently. Is I've earned my way up to that table to be sitting at the same seat and same table as these guys, and it is because of the effort I've put in. It is because of the consistency I have, the discipline I have. I'm not always perfect, but I know I'm operating at a much different level that allows me to be with these guys. So, yeah, it is. It does. It's a lot of mental conditioning is really all it is. And I was talking to my wife, this was last week. We were just driving, we were listening to a podcast, and I'm like, you know what the difference between success and above average life is versus like average and below average? All it is up here, man. That's it. And the second that people learn how to start thinking differently, they act differently, they perform differently. But what it takes is a lot of unlearning from what we've learned growing up. When I was growing up, it was, go to, much like probably 90% of, I'm just throwing out a statistic out there, but go to college, get a degree, get a good job, put money in a 401k, start saving for retirement early, live a comfortable lifestyle. And for the longest time, like, I thought that was it. So I even thought like making six figures, once you hit that was like killing it, until you expand your mind, your network, and your thought process, and you realize, wow, six figures, it's good, it's decent money, it's comfortable money, but it is not where these super successful are. But there's just barriers levels to it that you got to keep pushing and keep excelling at. So a lot of it is really unlearning what we were taught, and it's not my parents' fault. It's not their parents' fault. It's just a different time. And 40 years ago, that was the mindset for a successful mindset and actions and path for a successful person in the United States, and now it's not the same.
Yeah, true. You said you've got to unlearn a lot of things. And I think oftentimes you've got to unlearn things before you can learn new things.
Yep.
Right? You've got to unlearn the things that you were taught or the way you grew up, and realizing that if I want to achieve this next thing, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to have to leave that behind. I'm going to have to not do the things that everybody does. And by meaning that, like going to college, getting a job, there's nothing wrong with that, because like with the way social media society sells that as like, or at least like in the entrepreneurial space, like as if it's wrong to do. I don't think it's not wrong to do. Like if that's what you want, do it. It's just not for me. It's just not for you. Like, like you wake up, there's something else out there. You can't settle. Like as difficult as it is for me running the business and getting to that next level and beating up against the wall to break it down and move to that next level, I can't settle for less. I can't just sit down and just live going to a job. It's not for me. It could be for someone else, but not for me, not for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a different mindset that we have. I mean, it all goes back to that. And what you were talking about was unlearning. And this book that I read was actually recommended through our group. It's literally called The Science of Getting Rich. But in that book, and I told this on my podcast the other day, in that book, it gives this example. So the guy says, imagine you're on an island, you see a treasure chest. You open it up, it's full of sand, filled all the way up to the top. Some guy comes along, some gypsy, whatever you want to call him, comes along and says, I have all this gold I can give you, but this gold can only fit in that chest, and that's the only way you can have it. So what do you have to do? You have to scoop out, dump out all the sand to fill with the gold, and what it is unlearning your past thoughts, beliefs, ways of thinking and operating in order to make room for the new opportunity, growth, thoughts, beliefs, actions that you need to take yourself to the next level. So I can definitely agree with you on that instance. So
yeah, that is true. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because again, going back to what you said, it's all all your mindset. It's all the way you think, the way you look at things. You may not think that, but I hate to break it if you don't want me to break it, that it is that way.
Yep.
Because that's what I'm realizing. Overcomplicating things is one of the big things I've struggled was my mental blockage, like overcomplicating business, overcomplicating life, overcomplicating things that stood in the way for me to get to the next level. Keep in mind, like it's already hard, right? It's already difficult, and I overcomplicated it, and it was just like it stopped me. It wouldn't allow me to go further. Where rather as like right now, it's like it's simple. Hiring is simple. Owning a business is simple. Like life is simple. It's just not easy. It's just not easy. So when you understand that, you begin to start making decisions. Like you understand, hey, I don't feel like doing this today, but I will make that simple decision in my head to do it anyways. I will put my feelings aside, where you get self-conscious and go forward and do it anyways because you understand it's simple.
Yep. And
the hard part might be just getting over yourself.
Yeah. Getting out of your own way is really what it is. Another thing with that is I've learned that, us as leaders, entrepreneurs, really even leaders and higher ups and managers in big companies, they get in their own way, and naturally we want to take on more and more stuff as leaders, owners, operators, and you fall into what's called quicksand. And this was from another book. Again, if you guys aren't reading, I don't know what you guys are doing, but
right.
Got this from a book, and I promise it changes everything. And so he's talking about you fall into quicksand as a leader because you eventually drown yourself with so much shit that you bring on and take on that you can no longer operate, and your world just seems chaotic. So when it seems chaotic, you got a million different responsibilities that you yourself have put on your own self. Then it's harder to see more clear and operate more clearly. And so what I've learned is that delegation and time management, and learning to say those simple decisions. Yes, I'm going to take this meeting. No, I'm not going to take this meeting. Instead of being yes man all the time, we need to learn and be more selective with what's actually going to keep moving the needle forward. So that's a big thing that I've learned is getting out of our own way, in the sense that we need to be these hustlers. We need to do everything. That we're training our group, because we run a paving company as well on the side of our mobile app company.
Yeah, I
And
would want you to talk about that as well.
cool. I'll get into that a little later. But, what we're trying to do is we're trying to scale our teams and our production teams. And so we have, your crew guys, then you have your foremen, then you have your superintendents. Well, our superintendents are essentially the boss of the whole production side. And these guys have never been in a leadership program or a leadership role to where they're not actually out there doing the work. And it's a total different mindset for them because these guys have always had in their minds that, okay, if you want to be a leader, you want to move up to foreman, you got to outwork everybody. And then same thing to superintendent. And when you get to a level, it's not necessarily about how hard you can work. It's about how smart you can work and use the resources to scale out. So we're working on teaching these guys like basic, simple systems and processes, chains of communication. Your lowest guy on the totem pole, like a laborer, does not need to be calling all the way up to the superintendent. He communicates with the foreman. The only calls the superintendent should be getting is from the foreman himself. So learning to scale the production teams internally and teaching these guys who have never been in that kind of position has been an awesome challenge, but it's all the same. Like if the teams are scaling, the different departments are scaling, that's going to help your company overall grow and get to where you're at, get to where you want to be.
Yeah, bro. Yep, dude, I love that. You what you mentioned there, that was very good. I've also been thinking about that too, is like you can't always be the hustler. Like you can't I don't like it's kind of cringe and cliche when I see all these like people that achieved high levels and they talk about like, I'm still hustling, I'm still doing that. I represent the hustle cuz it's weird like you're at that point where hustle like you hustling, you're not leveraging your fullest potential. Because once you become that leader, you should delegate. You should buy back your time because if your plate is not as full, you can operate on so much more clearly where you want to take the company, where you want to take your team, where you want to take the next step, right? And that's your responsibility as a leader. Like you shouldn't get a whole bunch on your plate because at the end of the day, you being a leader or you owning a company, you being a boss, it's not your responsibility to serve your clients. It's just not. Your responsibility is to serve your team. Your team will serve the clients. If you provide the proper support for your team, they will provide the proper support for the clients. And you serving the clients, kind of like going around the loop, is disrespectful and unfair to your team because then they don't get the proper support. When you're always loaded, when you don't have time for them, when when you're always like unintentionally going through the meetings, doing all these things, you can't just hustle. Like you can't. And I've understood that.
When you do
Yep,
that,
I've understood that because I've had people tell me, like, hey, man, like, just be in the business. Like, hire someone to do your sales. You do the labor stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to. Like, it's just not right to me. Because if I'm in the labor stuff, like, I can leverage more right now if I'm, like, going to be, at the moment I am, if I do sales, because then I'll have more time to work on the back end. And eventually when sales go up, I'm going to need to put someone there because I've got to create, more steps and make the vision for the company as far as where we want to take it from now on, right? I've got to monitor, see how things are going. Where can we fix this? Also consult with the team, right? Hey, we've got this problem. What do we do here? I've noticed but if I'm always busy, I won't catch that.
Yep.
I won't see that.
And stuff just sifts all the way through, then you end up dropping the ball, and that's what's it. So in that same book, which is Smart Choices by Mark Miller, he talks about leaders need to create margin in their life. And in business, we want to create margin. That's your profit. But margin in your life is hours that you get to yourself that you can think, plan, and strategize all by yourself. So I started doing this probably 3 months ago. And all it is I took 2 hours on a Saturday, went to the office by myself, nobody else in there, didn't look at my email, didn't do anything. I just sat there and kind of thought, okay, I got this going on, this going on, this going on, whiteboarded some stuff. And I swear by those 2 hours made a huge difference because I was able to think without any distractions. I was able to plan and say, okay, when we come back on Monday, we're going to organize the team and we're going to go do this route. And so creating a margin for anybody really in life is huge. It's 2 hours of much needed time to reflect. It's just like when we you hear the biggest mistake of like paying all this money to go to these masterminds or these conferences is everyone goes and gets a ton of information and then they fly back Sunday night, go right back to the grind Monday, and they forget about everything they just learned. It was a waste. You can only retain like, I don't even know what percentage is, but it's a super small percent. Versus taking like a day in between, reflect, take notes, write down your own thoughts, plan, strategize. That allows you to retain this information much more and make you operate in better decisions. And like even guys on my team who have kids and family and wife, like I don't have time. Bullshit. Everyone's got time. You have to mark down. You can find 2 to 3 hours on your calendar just for yourself. I don't care who you are. You just do it and you make it a priority because everyone else is going to pay for it if you don't. Your family, your team, your business. So that's something I learned is creating margin in your life.
Yeah, because a lot of the times we get this lie in our head that being busy is productive. Like having so much on my plate, I'm being productive, especially as a leader. That's not production. That's just being busy. You're wasting your time, right? Like there's time. Like I would say, as a leader, you're more so production is like you said, creating that margin, sitting down and reflecting, sitting down and thinking, sitting down and strategizing in a quiet space. That's productive, right? Because then you can bring that out to your team. You can bring that out to your integrator, to whoever, or integrate it yourself, putting it into action and go with it. Same thing you said with the masterminds. Like we're there, like we're off our business and we can think so clear. We have this top view, like this eagle's eye view of our business. So we have these great ideas come in. And then when we come home, like, we write everything down. And my coach told me this, like, if you don't take immediate action, he said, you wait a little bit, like you come back, you're hyped up, like this is a great idea. You wait a little bit, that hype is gone, you're like, that's so dumb. Like, why would I do that? Right? But if you took action then, you would have got the momentum rolling. I had the same thing with the podcast. He held me accountable, like, yo, start it. Like, start it. When are you starting? So like he pushed me off, like he made me do it and held me accountable to it. And like when I did like a couple episodes, I'm like, man, is this gonna work? But then I'm like, I'm already started it. So I'm going through and I know it will work. I just got to be consistent. I just got to put the effort to it. So like in those quiet, productive moments, or like when you go out to masterminds, to meetups, or to events, you've got to write the stuff down and especially strategize. How am I going to take action? Put some deadlines to it. When am I going to take action?
Yep, the deadlines too. And that's action is probably what's got me to the place that I'm at. Not by gloating or anything. I'm not anywhere near the level of where everyone's at, but it's opened up doors by taking action. And that's one thing that my business partner and I, that's why we work so well, is because we move quick. When we make decisions, we don't sit there and think about it. We just, if we got an idea, think it's going to be successful, all right, let's try it. If it fails, great. Let's learn quick and try something else. But can't sit around and strategize, get analysis paralysis. You just got to go do it. But at the same time, we've been bitten in the ass a couple times because of it, because we move too fast and, overlook some stuff that we should have looked into or thought about ahead of time. So it's really finding the balance of moving quick but moving smart.
Yes.
And that's the only balance I really believe in, but trying to figure that out, how to combine the two. But yeah, moving fast makes a huge difference, makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, you've got to know when to move fast and when to actually sit down and strategize it. Because I do have some times where I'm like, man, like I can't, like when I have to make a decision, I can't come up to something. And like when I give it a day or so and I think about it, like it becomes clear, right? But then there's times where I got to take immediate action. I got to step up. I got to do it, because if I don't, it's going to bring more harm than it will help. So like you said, there's a fine line between that, knowing when to strategize, when to sit and think about it and give it some time, or when to take action. But for the most part, taking quick action would be better, because then you like you said, you do fail a lot. You do stumble on it. You do kind of like mess up. You will mess up. You will make the wrong decision, but you'll fail forward faster.
Yeah, learn to be okay failing.
Yep.
I never asked you this, man. How did you? And sorry to turn the interview around on you. Like, what's that?
Go
Step
ahead,
Brothers.
you're
We're
good.
gonna interview you. How did you get thrown into entrepreneurship? Because I know you're new to the game, like I am. How did you guys get started doing the countertops full time, running the show?
So, my dad did cabinets. He had a guy that would overcharge him doing countertops. So then my dad, he bought a saw, and I was young. I was like 15. I was like 16 back then. I had nothing to do. I dropped out of middle school, and he would cut. I'd polish, and then I got a phone, and I was kind of doing it. So I would do sales and just kind of get more into it, rolled into it. And then when I got older, um, when I hit 20, I was kind of deep into it, and I told him, hey, I'm gonna separate the entity because it's just difficult tracking finances together with this and all that. And he's like, go do it. So I split it off when I went on, and then at that point, I was listening to the RBO podcast, and because they've helped me out so much, that's why I pulled the trigger on joining their mastermind. And I think I would say that's when really, really began, like when I sunk into entrepreneurship, is right around when I joined their mastermind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's crazy. You kind of get thrown into it, and I agree. It probably kept it less messy for you, man. Going separating it from your dad, but
Yeah,
that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I know you're new to the game and fresh to it too, so that's why we're learning our
yeah,
way into
yeah,
this.
exactly, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got doing it.
Yeah, I'll give you a long-winded explanation how I got thrown into this. So I was working for my partner at the time. His name's Zach. He runs a paving company out here in Denver, Colorado. So we do asphalt and concrete maintenance work, parking lots, HOAs, you name it. And so I started working for him about 5-6 years ago. Went from being the ground bitch pretty much to, picking up cones, sending on job sites, project managing, to jumping into sales and started killing it in the sales game. And then after that, 2 years ago, he promoted me to sales manager. So I was running the sales team, and we scaled the company from, I think when we started, we were at like 2 or 3 million. And over the past 3 years, we doubled every year. So now we're hitting about $20 million a year. And so we scaled like quick and fast. And part of that was because we wanted to be the pioneers of technology in our industry, our space. And we realized, when we're sending proposals, we're sending kind of basic stuff. We create like a site map. Say like somebody sent us out on a parking lot to go check it, like a Wendy's, we'll call it. So we'd use Google imagery and like mark where the locations were. And then we'd send that with our proposals. Customers like that. So then the next year we started doing the same thing. We had Google on our iPads, and then so we'd drop locations, and then we'd flip over to our camera app, take pictures of every spot, and then we'd go back to the office, put our estimate together, and then we'd create like a Word document that had all the pictures, the comments, the notes, and then the site map, and our customers loved it even more. So 2 years ago, we're like, all right, let's create an app, because we're wasting about 30 minutes every time we send a bid, and we send out a ton of bids, putting these reports together. Like I would say probably our estimators probably put out about 5 bids a day. So 30 minutes times 5, do the math, it's 2.5 hours, if I did my math correct. Something like that. Anyways, we realized, okay, so if we can have like a mobile app that does the map, the pictures, and then creates the reports for you right away, that's going to save us so much time and we can output even more. So when we did that, we started testing, we built the app, and then we tested it internally, and we did, $8 million one year, then we jumped up to $18 million. So like a huge jump, and it was like almost too much of a jump because your production side lacks. So then we figured out how we can communicate better with our on-site crews and send them work orders and stuff like that. And so that's when Spot on Site came. And so we've been live in the App Store since February 7th of last year. So we're almost coming up on our 1-year anniversary. But pretty much Spot on Site's a all-in-one mobile app to help contractors, specifically exterior contractors, whether you're in landscaping, commercial roofing, asphalt, concrete, you do hardscaping. We help these guys with their sales presentation. We help them with their client, with transparency for their customers, and help them send work orders to their team a lot more efficiently, and they communicate better. And so that's how I got sucked into this. And we were talking about Mike Claudio earlier. Mike was Zach's business coach for a little bit, and he came out and watched Zach and I try to run both companies right when we launched Spot on Site together. And stuff was falling through the cracks, and he can tell we were just spread too thin. So he's like, if you guys continue on this path, then both companies are going to fail. So he's like, Hayden, you haven't had your own thing yet, so why don't you step away from MPP and go all in on Spot on Site? And then Zach, MPP's been your baby, so why don't you stick with it? So that's when we made kind of the change and the transition. And so Mike was definitely the one to push me into this entrepreneurship world, man.
Nice. Mike's a solid dude. So pretty much you're not just an app that does so it measures with the satellite, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not just an app, your company is not just an app that measures. You kind of do a little bit of consulting too, right? With the sales process and presentation, or sales presentation, and with estimating all that. So you guys kind of when you, for example, is when a client buys into your program or into the app, you guys kind of show them how to operate with efficiency as well, right? To some degree or some point.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I don't, from our call the other day, I don't sell a mobile app to contractors. I sell doubling contractors' revenue and improving efficiencies, improving sales presentation, improving processes, improving transparency for the customers on that end. And then for property managers, I give them their time back by giving them a tool and a resource to perform site inspections a lot quicker and easier. Same thing, and generate reports. So, it's we're moving towards helping more contractors out in the one-on-one space, and it's also a big reason on why we wanted to start our podcast. Our podcast is called Apps and Asphalt, and our kind of slogan.
Check them out, y'all.
Yeah, check them out. Apps and Asphalt. A little plug for myself. Sorry, man.
No, I helped you. I helped you push the plug in all the way.
Appreciate it, bro. So we why we started that is because we want to raise the standard in construction. When I got into construction, I was like, man, it's busy, it's crazy. There's a lot of work you got to do. It's not respected. Everyone looks at contractors like we're a bunch of idiots who couldn't go to college, get a degree, so we fell into construction. When I have met the coolest, greatest people who are extremely intelligent, have figured out how to scale businesses, make a lot of money through this space. And so we want to shift the mentality and impression of what people view construction as. And part of that's through raising the standard in our space, which will eventually hopefully trickle into other spaces. So that's why we got into that. And, through that, our podcast, we help out with, we'll dive into job costing. A lot of contractors don't even know what they actually need to sell and make and how much they actually make, because they don't know how much their piece of equipment costs to run, or they just go from job site to job site, just get the work done, but they never actually have time to job costs and know their margins, along with like some simple tricks and tips to help them stand out from the competition for the sales side of it. So taking pretty much our experience that we have with our company and helping others, because there's so much work out there, man. We don't have the scarcity mindset. Everyone's busier beyond belief. So if we can help others with how we've done it and stuff we've failed at that we've learned from, or stuff that we've excelled at and think that we can pass on, then we're definitely going to show that off. So we're moving into more specialty stuff like that coming up very soon.
Nice. I like that. So you initially you don't necessarily sell your app. You pretty much you sell them, hey, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna help you do this, and this, right? However, here's the tool that you're gonna use. Here's the tool that's gonna improve that. So you're not necessarily like just an app. You've also actually helped them. You don't just sell it to them and take the money and do your thing. You actually there help them, kind of guide them through it. I like that. Solving the problem.
Yeah.
Solving the actual problem.
And that's all even like from our upfront demo too. Like we'll do a demo. I've never met these guys. I hear about what they're doing, what their process is. Then I literally show them how we do it, like how to attach our shareable link with your proposal, how to walk them through on a follow-up what the dashboard looks like. So different stuff like that. You know, we've gotten great feedback on how people have been able to use it for their customers, and they're like, yeah, this thing is an awesome sales tool. So we go kind of above and beyond and try to run webinars and stuff just to help these guys just dial it in, man.
That's incredible. That is very incredible. Do you have a mission for your company?
For our company, yeah. So we have a couple different things. So first one, we want to help 1,000 contractors double their revenue and increase their efficiency. Another one that we have is we eventually want to be the maintenance contractor and property management hub. So property managers, when they need to get work done, they first inspect their property. They walk around, pen, paper, clipboard, mark off issues. This light's out, this sprinkler shooting water 50 feet in the air. I got a pothole right here, the sidewalk sticking up. So they mark all these issues out. Then what they have to do is call 3 different contractors, so a landscaping guy, an asphalt guy, and 3 of those each to do a walkthrough, and they show them all the areas. So they're losing windshield time. They're losing time being on site showing these guys. So if they can just create these during their inspections and send it through Spot on Site, which is a contractor, which their contractors or vendors are on it too, everyone can save time because it reduces the amount of on-site meetings. So we want to be like the ultimate go-to contractor and maintenance hub eventually one day. And then, you know, a big thing about our team, we're a pretty small team now. We got a good core group of guys. Is just for us is we have everybody gets a Lambo mentality. So I don't want to cap off what our team can make. You know, everyone can write their own paycheck, essentially, whoever comes to work for us, as long as they're putting in the effort and putting in and creating the results. So some core values mixed in with kind of our mission as a company.
That's very good. Mission is very important. Core values is important because, like, our mission is to improve family relationships doing one kitchen at a time. How do we improve family relationships doing a kitchen at a time? Is through our service. We do such great service that when they get together with their families and their friends and they talk about the kitchen, they talk about the service we provided, it just brings this cozy and warm environment into the room. So like that's what we do, and it is important because with our mission, we're focused on the service. We're focused on providing great service to the client. So now we're kind of forced to make our own client avatar, people that value that service, that'll pay in exchange for that service, right? And then the clients that don't value, like, then we create core values. The clients that don't fit those core values, we don't work with them. The team members that don't fit those core values, we don't hire them or we fire them. So like it's really, really important. That's what we learned. That's what I learned the past couple days at the meetup, um, that of how important it is to have that, to know what, because when you bring on your team members or when you start hiring people, when you grow this company, if they don't know where they're going, if they don't have a goal, I'm just working, like they're not gonna put in their best effort, and and quite frankly, they might leave sooner or later somewhere else, take a pay cut to someone who has a better vision than you, or I'm just saying you as an example, do.
Yeah. And I thought for the longest time that like core values and stuff are cheesy. Like, who cares? The thing about it is the core values and mission is you don't get an immediate return on it. That's why it's not important for a lot of people. It's not like you can't track it from dollars and cents. But what you can track from it is 5-10 years, the company culture that you build will soon outperform the amount of revenue and profit that you guys do, because you have a culture that just attracts customers, it attracts good people to come work for you. It's a great environment. So starting early with that has been definitely a mindset shift. And so we just created our company value or core values this year. So one of ours, for instance, is have an eye for excellence. I actually heard in my church, I attend Life Church, and that's one of their things. It's the attention to detail that matters the most. So that's like one of them, but getting everybody on like the same page with that, it goes a long way. And again, that's the biggest problem is everyone just kind of keeps kicking it down the road. They say it maybe once, but they don't reinforce it. So it slips everyone's mind and it takes away from the vision and the company culture that you build. But you keep on it, you keep reinforcing it, then 10 years down the road, like you're going to look back and be like, holy crap, every single person in here is living and breathing that. And that's why we have an unstoppable team.
Yeah, bro, even 2-3 years down the road, you'll see that if you set the standard, you live by it, you set those core values, you live by it, you hire and fire by those core values, you're going to see that. Because ultimately, and what's cool about it is what I understood is the past couple of days, again, I learned a lot from the last meetup. But like when you create those core values, it forces you to create a team avatar. Like the person you want to hire. Who do you want him to be like? His personality, is he outgoing? Whatever. Like create his avatar. And then that helps you hire, because then you're not guessing. Like you see someone, I want him on my team. Do we hire, do we recruit him, hire him, whatever? Like, you begin that process. There's no more second guessing.
Yep. And we try to push that a lot. We're going to do that a lot more this year, is like behind the scenes footage of what we do. There's times we were at a trade show last week. We were in Charlotte, and kind of your neck of the woods, right? You're in South Carolina?
Yeah. That's where the event was as well.
So we all were at dinner, and we were just like on a roll, just talking about ideas, like brainstorming, personal growth talk, and like the core group of us are all on the same page. And it's sometimes you wish in those moments you had a camera or a camera crew that was following you around, because that's like where the gold happens. So we're going to try to be a lot more active on that to show like what kind of team and people that we have, because that's going to only attract like-minded individuals, and they operate the same. So one thing that I've been watching you, dude, is you're pushing a lot more content. You're changing it up. How is like getting into the social media game for you been?
It's been pretty good. The podcast has really been helping me out a lot, because like I know from this interview, there's probably going to be like 20 to 30 clips without a shadow of a doubt. I interviewed Brett. I had like 20 clips from that, and And then the other interviews, I'll have like 10 to 15 to 20 clips. So just chopping it up. Yeah, it's been pretty good, dude. It's been pretty good because then all I do is record here. I don't have to come up with ideas. Creating content with all of that is just a free flow conversation that we chop it up and put it out there. So it's been pretty good, dude.
Yeah, and that's what we learned has been the best for us is like recording podcasts, because an hour video you can get so many good clips that you can use and rebrand and repurpose, and I feel I'm glad I got over myself with how I felt or looked on camera. And dude, looking at some of my first recordings, I'm like, it's embarrassing, but at the same time, it's essential to your survival nowadays, man, as a business, and it gets noisy, as we all know, it's all noisy out there. So finding ways to stand out has been definitely interesting. It's just constant testing, seeing what's hitting, seeing what's not. Like, yeah, it's crazy that even like some of the crappiest videos that are put together on like TikTok of like selfie recording, not professionally done, outperform the nice professional looking videos that everyone puts so much time and effort into. So it's crazy to see finding out like what hits and what doesn't. But, look at what RBO has done with years, I think 3 or 4 years of consistent posting and podcasting. Now they finally have a following, like a good sized following, and they got all the attention. It's just playing the long-term game, but you have to get started at some point in time.
Yep, that's true. I do think like sometimes like, man, like what is this going to do for me? Like I'm like driving here took me about 35 to 40 minutes, about 40 minutes to an hour of an episode, driving back 3 hours out the window, right? But I'm like, man, it's going to pay off. I'm playing this long term. It's going to pay off because my strategy with having the podcast
he's about to drop some gold, everybody.
Say what?
I say he's about to drop some gold, everybody. He's about to give the strategy.
Well, the reason why I started the podcast and the strategy with this is like I want to bring on local general contractors. Like, hey, this is for the community. This, which it is, right? And just ask them while I'm interviewing, like what they're lacking, what they hate most about their subs, or what are the problems they want solved, right? And after the interview, I'm the solution to your problem.
Perfect.
Pretty much, Yeah. That's what my coach taught me. That he's like, bro, I've created for so many years. I've created the perfect systems, the perfect processes, and I thought this is what the market wanted, so I created. He's like, and I haven't got anything from the market. He's like, it wasn't until I realized, like, go find what the market wants. Go like door knocking. Go see what issues is that project. Like, he's like, I'd go on a job site, see what issues the project manager has. Hey, who does this scope of work? Oh, this and this guy. And he starts talking. He's like, he's telling me all the issues. I write it down. I go to the office and I present it to them. And he's like, magically, I'm some dude that's the solution to all their problems. Like, the guru, yeah, like you're finding out what the market wants, what they need, and you give it to them. And because I couldn't understand that thought that people would say, give the market what it wants. Like, what does the market want? I'm doing countertops. I'm already giving them what they want, right? They need it. But then it's far deeper than that. It's far deeper than having an app. Like, you're doing something bigger. You're solving the problem in their business, not just by selling them an app, but actually by showing them, guiding them, improving something for them, giving the market what they want. You won't be poor if you do it right.
Absolutely. Even like what we're doing here in a couple weeks is we got some gals that are high up in the property management space, like the president of BOMA. BOMA is a huge real estate, what would you call it, organization. And the head of BOMA for Denver, we're bringing her and another one of her counterparts in for a podcast interview. And, granted, our podcast is apps and asphalt, so we're geared towards contractors. We talk contractor stuff. We want to change it up by bringing on actual customers who these dudes do work for, to hear exactly what they want, what drives them crazy, what are the things that contractors do that piss you off and make you not want to work with them. How can contractors improve so that way you guys have better working relationships instead of like saying, I got to get my parking lot fixed. You're almost kind of excited because you know you have good relationships, and it all comes from doing your research and jumping into the horse's mouth or hearing it from the horse's mouth. And, that's been the beauty of this first year of launching the app is we didn't necessarily go hard on like sales to get as many users as possible. We wanted to get a good amount of users so we can get feedback and figure out, okay, what problems do you actually have? And I'm not going to list out all the problems because that's something that we're going to solve. But through taking the time and actually talking to our customers, we do testimonies and we even ask for the good, the bad, the ugly feedback. Hearing what they need will pay dividends. And so all of our updates and development that we have, we're about to launch a new package, is because of this is what everybody's been asking for. And you give people what they want, you pay, you give the people what they want, give hot dogs to a starving crowd is another analogy I've heard. Then, you'll sell as much as you want.
Yeah, because business ultimately isn't about the money. It's about relationships. So if you've built good relationships or the right relationships, you get more money than not having relationships or having relationships with the wrong people, right? Like there's relationships you'll build, they'll pay you more because of the relationship, because of what you bring to the table, because they even like you as a person. That's the value you bring to the table. They like being around you, they like hanging around you, so they're gonna give you business. They're gonna give you money.
Yep. Dude, that's perfect. You nailed it right on the head right there, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, man, we this has probably been our longest episode so far. It usually kind of dies out like at 40, 45 minutes, but man, we kept it going, dude.
Hey, I can keep
This
it
is
going as
awesome.
long as you want, man, but I know you gotta, like I said, you got 3 hours of your day that are already gone, so I get it. But
hey, it's invested, bro.
Hey,
it's invested.
That's the beauty of these things is we can always hop back on later, and I'd love to have you as a guest of ours too, because you're a contractor yourself, you're a business owner, you're in the same position that I am, so you have a lot of good stuff that you can give out. What you're doing on this podcast is awesome, man.
Yeah, hit me up. I'll come out sometime. Just hit me up. I'll pull up to the studio, get some content from my side too.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to say something, but I forgot. But yeah. Anyhow, guys, we're gonna wrap it up for this episode. You guys, Hayden, where can people find you?
All over the place. Yep.
All over the place.
So
you walk into the retail store, to Lowe's, Home Depot, you see him there.
One day.
One day, right there.
Yeah. So my app company's called Spot On Site. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all at Spot On Site, LinkedIn as well. My personal page I do mostly on Instagram. It's at Hayden Cortez _ pretty easy. If you check out Yellow, so you can check me out too. But I'm here to help too, and like I said, I'm learning my way into this entrepreneurship world too. So any of you guys that have some questions, I'm here to be a resource for everybody as well.
Yeah, I'll put those also in the show notes so you guys can click on it, whether it be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever it's at. You guys can click on it. But you guys reach out to Hayden, show him some love. Share this podcast if you found it valuable. Tag him, tag me in your stories. Let us know what's up. You know what I'm saying? Give some feedback. Dude, this was a solid episode. I really enjoyed it. It was, I think I will be listening to this and I'll find some value from our conversations. But back to what you were saying, like about my time, I really enjoy doing this because this kind of gives me that mastermind experience to where I pick up above that day-to-day stuff and I can think so much clearer. Like this is what I want to do, right? Like giving ideas, inspirations. I had that during this episode. So yeah, bro, I really appreciate you coming on, your time. I know that's valuable, and dropping the value on the people. You guys listen to it, share it. Again, show some love. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Peace.